Actually, before I do that, well, good evening and welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Society of Albany. Maybe not in the place that you're used to seeing me. We haven't been in this space for over a year. Our Zoom service today will be virtual because I'm the only person in our sanctuary tonight. And we'll be lighting candles as part of that service. So if you have a candle at home, this is something like this, or maybe a candle like this, some other kind of candle, we'll be lighting that later in the service. So I encourage you to go now, while you can, to get that candle and bring it back. But as you're doing that, I'm going to begin with these opening words by Victoria Safford. Now is the moment of magic, when the whole round earth turns again towards the sun. And here's a blessing. The days will be longer and brighter now, even before the winter settles in to chill us. Now is the moment of magic, when people beaten down and broken, with nothing left but misery and candles, and their own clear voices, kindle tiny lights and whisper secret music. And here's a blessing. The dark universe is suddenly illuminated by the lights of the Jewish menorah, suddenly ablaze with the lights of the Kwanzaa Kinara. And the whole world is glad and loud with winter singing. Now is the moment of magic, when an eastern star beckons the ignorant toward an unknown goal. And here's a blessing. They find nothing in the end but an ordinary baby, born at midnight, born in poverty. And the baby's cry, like bells ringing, makes people wonder as they wander through their lives what human love might really look like, sound like, and feel like. Now is the moment of magic, and here's a blessing. We already possess all the gifts we need. We've already received our presents, ears to hear music, eyes to behold lights, hands to build true peace on earth, and to hold each other tight in love. Now let us join together on this holy night to celebrate a love which is our birthright. And now we will enjoy our UU virtual choir singing And now let us light our chalice with these words. In the stillness of this holy evening, anticipating so much, hoping for even more, we light this chalice, symbol of the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment that lift our hearts, broaden our minds, and calls us to the work of justice. May that light guide us and heal us as we gather for the celebration of life to remember the birth of a child who will embody a universal love freely offered to all people. And let us sing together on this day everywhere.
On this day everywhere, children's songs fill the air. Greet the child new and fair, Christmas gift so holy, born in stable lowly. In excelsis Deo. Sweet the babe, strange is bed, manger hay round his head, cattle there in the shed, Mary, Joseph by him, shepherds drawing nigh him. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Magi free find their way by a star shining ray to the child in the hay. Give their wondrous presents, gold and myrrh and incense. Gloria in excelsis Deo.
Our biblical readings today will be done by Anna Valdez and by Lucy Edwilson. And Chris will spotlight both of them so that you can see them as they do that reading. So give it a second or two till you see both of them, and then they can begin. And you're muted. There you go. Let's see where Lucy is.
I'm sorry, I can't find Lucy.
Oh dear. Anna, would you just mind reading the whole thing? Okay, why don't you just go with that? And you need to unmute.
Sam, I think that they unmuted us instead of Anna.
Ah, okay. Let's see if I can get... I can't. Uh-oh. Maybe I can do that. Yeah, it looks like, yep, Anna's unmuted, so you're ready to go.
Our first reading is from the book of Luke, chapter 2, verses 1 through 20. On those days, Emperor Augustus ordered a census to be taken throughout the Roman Empire. When this census first took place, Quirinius was the governor of Syria. Everyone then went to register himself, each to his own hometown. Joseph went from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to the town of Bethlehem in Judea, the birthplace of King David. Joseph went there because he was a descendant of David. He went to register with Mary, who was promised in marriage to him. She was pregnant, and while they were in Bethlehem, the time came for her to have her baby. She gave birth to her first son, wrapped him in cloths, and laid him in a manger. There was no room for them to stay in the inn. There were some shepherds in that part of the country who were spending the night in the fields, taking care of their flocks. An angel of the Lord appeared to them, and the glory of the Lord shone over them. They were terribly afraid, but the angel said to them, "Don't be afraid. I am here with good news for you, which will bring great joy to all people. This very day, in David's town, your Savior was born, Christ the Lord. And this is what will prove it to you. You will find a baby wrapped in cloths and lying in a manger." Suddenly, a great army of heaven's angels appeared with the angel, singing praises to God. "Glory to God in the highest heaven, and peace on earth to those with whom he is pleased." When the angels went away from them back into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, "Let us go to Bethlehem and see this thing that has happened, which the Lord has told us." So they hurried off and found Mary and Joseph and saw the baby lying in the manger. When the shepherds saw him, they told what the angel had said about the child. All who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds had said. Mary remembered all these things and thought deeply about them. The shepherds went back, singing praises to God for all they had heard and seen. It had been just as the angel had told them. Our second reading comes from the book of Matthew, chapter 2. Jesus was born in the town of Bethlehem in Judea during the time when Herod was king. Soon afterward, some men who studied stars came from the east to Jerusalem and asked, "Where is the baby born to be the king of the Jews? We saw his star, and when it came up in the east, and we have come to worship him." When King Herod heard about this, he was very upset, and so was everyone else in Jerusalem. He called together all the chief priests and the teachers of the law and asked them, "Where will the Messiah be born?" "In the town of Bethlehem in Judea," they answered, "for this is what the prophet wrote. Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, you are by no means the least of the leading cities of Judah, for from you will come the leader who will guide my people." So Herod called the visitors from the east to a secret meeting and found out from them the exact time the star had appeared. Then he sent them to Bethlehem with these instructions: "Go and make a careful search for the child, and when you find him, let me know, so that I too may go and worship him." And so they left. And on their way, they saw the same star they had seen in the east. When they saw it, how happy they were! What joy was theirs! It went ahead of them until it stopped over the place where the child was. They knelt down and worshipped him. They brought out their gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh, and presented them to him. Here end the readings.
Thank you very much. And let us sing. "Angels we have heard on high," a French carol, and our song leader is Elena Karpov.
Gloria in excelsis Deo. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Shepherds, why this jubilee? Why these songs of happy cheer? What great brightness did you see? What glad tidings did you hear? Gloria in excelsis Deo. Gloria in excelsis Deo. See him in a manger laid, whom the angels praise above. Mary, Joseph, lend your aid, while we raise our hearts in love. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Gloria in excelsis Deo.
Okay. I have a reading for you. It's titled, Why I Believe in Santa Claus by Morris Zoloto. What about Christmas? My daughter Crescent asked when I phoned to wish her family a happy Christmas. I'd often regaled my long-suffering wife and wide-eyed children with stories about my strange childhood, but had always blocked out the one about Santa Claus and the stocking. Crescent's question triggered that memory, and now I poured it out to her on the phone, slowly at first, then more quickly, as the memories came back. It occurred in a part of Brooklyn known as Bath Beach. In the 1920s, Bath Beach was rural and sparsely inhabited. We had rooms on the second floor of a two-story frame house. Our landlady, Mrs. Mulhern, lived on the first floor. We didn't fit into that neighborhood. Every kid was either Irish Catholic or Italian Catholic. Technically, we were Jewish. All my cousins and aunts and uncles were Orthodox. But my parents had broken with the tradition of their people. At the time, and in that place, they were freaks. My father did not believe in God or religion or holidays. He deplored the merchandising connected with holidays, even birthdays. My father was also a passionate vegetarian. There was no coffee or tea in our house. Postum was our beverage. We had whole wheat bread instead of the delicious white bread or the wonderful seeded rye that I ate at my cousins' homes. Red meat was taboo, so were sweets. Of all the days of the year, Christmas was the most agonizing for me. There was no tree in our parlor No colored balls, no tinsel, no stars or angels. No gaily wrapped packages. In the pit of my stomach was an emptiness that I later recognized as a spiritual hunger. I thirsted for God and a religious life. Secretly, I believed in Santa Claus, this fat, white, bearded old gentleman in a red suit who drove an enormous sled drawn by 8 reindeer high in the sky. I deeply believed that he brought gifts to all children who had been good. I first encountered the benevolent old fellow when I was 4 or 5. An older cousin took me to see Santa at Nam's department store in downtown Brooklyn. I sat on his lap and requested either a tricycle or a flexible flyer sled. He said to me, "Ho, ho, ho," which I took to mean, "Certainly, my lad." On Christmas morning, I went expectantly into the parlor, but there was no sled, no tricycle, not even a box of Crayola crayons. What had gone wrong? I wrestled with the question for a few days until I came up with the explanation. I just hadn't been a good enough boy. The next year, I helped our teacher by erasing blackboards. I filled inkwells with ink. At home, I didn't pick on my lose my place here. At home, I didn't pick on my kid sister. I forced myself to eat all the spinach and carrots on my plate. But Christmas came, and Christmas went, and there was still no flexible flyer. By now, I had lowered my expectations. I was willing to settle for a red magnet. You scattered a bunch of nails and wham, it sucked up all the nails and it made them stick to itself. Or a compass, so I could go to Alaska and prospect for gold. Worst of all, I would have loved a Boy Scout jackknife with a briar-like handle and a large blade and a little screwdriver, a can opener, and an awl embedded in it. Another Christmas, no knife, no compass, no magnet. Perhaps they had been left downstairs by mistake. Mrs. Mulhern, I thought I could go downstairs and ask Mrs. Mulhern whether Santa Claus might have left any packages for me under her immense and beautifully decorated tree. The dear lady wiped a tear away, took me in her arms. "The saints preserve us," she said. "You poor child." She gave me 2 ginger cookies with white icing, which sure beat whole wheat bread. I never mentioned the cookies to my parents, nor did they have any suspicions of my heretical belief in Santa Claus. Mrs. Mulhern's reference to saints started me wondering if my parents' principled opposition to Christmas had resulted in Santa's purposely shunning our family. Another possibility was that we didn't have a chimney down which Santa Claus could make his way. November rolled around again, and though I was getting older, I was still obsessed with the Santa Claus problem. Always on the alert, I began hearing rumors about prayers. I learned that one could convey one's requirements directly to God or Santa Claus. And in my mind, Santa Claus was God. Well, if that was the ticket, I would pray. I didn't want to get caught, though. So I went into the bedroom and locked the door. I kneeled, I closed my eyes. I prayed every night for 3 weeks before Christmas. Once more, Santa Claus passed me by. This time I was very discouraged. Not only had I maintained nightly prayer vigil, I had also achieved a high level of virtue. I had not lied or stolen. I had been kind to my sister. I had washed my hands before mealtimes. I had eaten every bite of those tasteless vegetarian meals. I had dried dishes. It is possible that I came about as close to sainthood as I will ever get. What now? Let's take a little break from the story and let's listen to another musical interlude. This is Carol of the Bells, performed by Chris Bystroff. you, Chris. That was beautiful. It hadn't occurred to me that Santa Claus could be a myth. I had seen him with my own eyes. I had spoken to him. Other people had seen him and spoken to him too. I had seen clear evidence in the form of dolls, bicycles, sleds, tinker toys, and other objects, which, according to what people said, came from Santa's bounty. I was determined to crack the code, but I couldn't go around asking how to do it. I was alone with my problem. As a new year drifted along, and soon it was winter again, and my anxiety was pervading me. Then, 2 weeks before Christmas, I had this inspiration. Suddenly, I knew why Santa Claus had been passing me by. I had never hung up a stocking. On the fateful Christmas Eve, I waited until my little sister was asleep. We slept on separate folding cots in the same room. Then I crept out and draped one of my long black stockings on the back of a chair. I didn't get to wear real men's socks and long pants until I was 12. I crept back into bed, closed my eyes. I couldn't fall asleep. I waited and waited. When a tree's naked boughs outside rustled in the wind, I started up, thinking that this might be the sound of reindeer hooves in the sky pounding toward Bath Beach. Once I thought I heard sleigh bells ringing, but it was only the clanging of a distant trolley. I must have gone to sleep because when I opened my eyes, it was starting to get light. I hoped against hope. Had Santa quietly come and gone while I slept? I tried to see the chair on which the stocking was draped, but I couldn't see it clearly. I waited until more illumination seeped through the cracks in the roller shade. Blood pumping wildly, heart pounding madly. I padded over to the chair, and the stocking was empty, just as I had left it so many hours before. It hung there limp and pathetic, a good-for-nothing stocking. I wept quietly. For the first time, I thought, Santa Claus is a lie. He doesn't exist. There is no fat man in a red suit. There isn't any reindeer pulling some dumb sled up in the sky, and there aren't any dumb presents for me. I had started telling my daughter this story as a bit of nostalgia, garnishing it with amusing touches and sly exaggerations to make her laugh. But the more I got into it, the more I felt it wasn't funny. I was once again experiencing the pangs of that skinny kid on a folding cot in a cold room in Brooklyn, waiting for his wishes to be granted. Once more, I was consumed by the utter hopelessness that possessed me on that morning so long ago. I remembered that lonely little boy's desolation, and once more, I was weeping. So was my daughter. Now let us cut to the following holiday season. It was the 19th of December. An enormous package arrived in the mail. It was from my daughter Crescent. The box was marked do not open till Xmas. On Christmas morning, I opened the big box. It was crammed with shredded tissue paper. Buried underneath was a very long black stocking filled with many tiny packages, all individually wrapped in gaily colored paper. Each contained a different surprise: exotic jam, smoked peanuts, imported chocolate, linen handkerchiefs, Vienna roast coffee, a jar of caviar. The last item I pulled out was a hand-decorated Christmas card. On it was written, "Dear Dad, it just took Santa a while to find you. Love, Crescent." As I read this, the scars of all the old childhood wounds were healed by the miracle of my daughter's love. Once more, I knew what it was to believe in Santa Claus. And now let us sing That's better. There we go. Before tonight, for many of us, Christmas Eve was usually the culmination of an intense period of activity. Finding the right tree, decorating the home, hanging ornaments and lights inside and out, intermixed with frenetic hurrying from shop to find just the right gift. For me, it is the search for just the right earrings for Philomena that will surprise and delight her, even though she knows she's going to get earrings. And then there are the parties and gatherings, and then all the holiday foods eaten and beverages consumed in modest quantities. This year, it has all been simplified. This year, Andrew put up our pre-lit 3-foot artificial tree, plugged it in, and declared that it didn't need any ornaments. The few parties we've attended have been virtual. Shopping happened online and with catalogs. We are not having a fancy Christmas dinner because no one is coming over. The only guests we'll see are the folks coming to Leah and my Zoom virtual Christmas open house from 2 to 4 p.m. Hope you can come. For others, this has been the hardest Christmas Eve they have ever experienced. Not being able to be with aging relatives that might not see another Christmas is a painful loss. Many have lost beloveds whose time should not have come yet due to the ravages of the pandemic. Others have endured an infection of this wretched virus and recovered, but without a sense of smell or lung damage or harm done by blood clots. And so many are suffering devastating financial losses and unwanted unemployment. Singers, actors, musicians, performers, chefs, hospitality workers, public transportation workers. So many cannot resume their lives until the pandemic ends. I say all this to point out many people are probably having more stillness this Christmas than they might want. This certainly is the quietest Christmas Eve I've experienced during my years in ministry. I've never experienced a Christmas Eve where I am the only occupant of 405 Washington Avenue. Any cookies I might enjoy would be the ones I have brought with me. This isn't the Christmas Eve I wanted or expected, yet here it is. Bad as 2020 has been for so many of us, it hasn't been a total loss. The New York Times asked readers to name one good thing that happened in an otherwise dismal year. The last response quoted in the article came from a woman named Laura who lives in Pittsburgh. She's a founding member of the Amish Monkeys improvisational comedy troupe. I found her on the web and sent her a message of appreciation for what she wrote. I found out from her that she's been going to a virtual gathering of a UU congregation in the Pittsburgh area. I'd like to read her response for you because she has an important message for us tonight. The foundational principle of improv is yes and. Accepting the reality your scene partner establishes and adding to it, furthering the scene. Performing in improv comedy troupes for most of my life has cemented this concept in my brain. Yet, last March, all my improv-loving brain could think of was, no, I can't work. No, I can't socialize. No, the world can't function. Unlike me, the world accepted this uncertain new reality and said, yes, and. Yes, you can shop and pick up your groceries outside at the curb. Yes, you can use the internet and work, worship, be entertained, and reconnect with old friends and relatives. Yes, people can help those in need and create therapeutic drugs and a vaccine. The tragic realities of 2020 are undeniable, but the world has thought outside the box in astounding ways to navigate this unfamiliar life. The year 2020 epitomizes yes and. Yes, we did, and we will. How many women might have said no to the angel Gabriel with this strange request to carry the child of another? How many husbands-to-be would have rejected, divorced, scorned, abandoned their partner, appearing before them pregnant by another? I love the line crafted by Elizabeth Valdez in our pageant last Sunday for Joseph, after he hears the angel say, "Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid to make Mary your wife. She will give birth to a son, and you are to give him the name Jesus." I don't even get to pick the name? I do feel better, though. Mary is such a good person. I love her, and I will love this child, and we will be a family. I'm going to go tell her right now so she doesn't worry. After the shepherds have gone, and the wise royalty have left. Maybe after that drummer boy is done with his solo, patiently endured by the Holy Family, all is quiet and still as Mary and Joseph hold each other and behold their newborn son lying in a manger. This isn't the life they envisioned for themselves or how they expected to start their family. Who would this child become? They must have wondered. How could we prepare him for what would be ahead? All they could say to this moment, I imagine, is yes. Yes, and. In the stillness of this Christmas Eve, let us find our way to yes. Yes, and. So be it. And we're going to go to the offertory now. And the offering on Christmas Eve in our congregation usually goes to two places, 50-50. We send half of it to the Focus Food Pantry and half of it to Planned Parenthood. And we've been doing that for over 50 years. And you'll see on your screen now how you can make that gift. And the best way to do it is to just send, if you're going to do a text, send the money directly. And if you do the online offering, to just put it in the collection plate. And that's the easiest way to do it. Or you can send a check to our congregation as well. The offertory music is Carol of the Angels by Jill Galeina, and this is our second virtual UU choir performance for you to enjoy. Normally, we would be dimming the lights and prepare to call forward several young acolytes to light their candles from the chalice and then pass that light through the pews until everyone had their candle lit. And unfortunately, we can't reproduce that ritual today. But instead, we can invite everyone at home to light your own candle and dim your lights, which unfortunately I can't do, but you can dim them at home. And then safely hold your candle so your camera can see the candle lighting your face. I invite you to do so now. Now, I'm going to turn off my spotlight, and I encourage you to switch your view to gallery view so you can see everyone's image. Oh, that's so beautiful. And enjoy everyone's beautiful gallery view image. And then you can turn on the chat as well, where you'll find Silent Night. And we're going to sing together as we behold the beauty of our images together. And Chris is going to play the music for us so we can sing together.
I've got my contacts in. It makes it actually harder to have my glasses.
I suppose I could do a solo.
Oh.
I don't know, maybe does
Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright. heavenly peace. Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, round yon virgin mother and child. Holy infant, so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace, sleep in heavenly peace.
And let us turn inward. Sense the silence of this holy night. Sense the outer stillness that invites an inner stillness. With the tender words of the song Silent Night ringing in our ears, let us be reminded of the great value of each human life. Each of us was born full of great possibility and promise, acknowledged or unrecognized, the infinite potential of our fresh and fragrant lives brought joy into the world. May all babies born be loved and cherished. May all children grow up secure, happy, and whole. May they realize their fullest potential. And may all adults strive diligently to create a peaceful world for them to grow into. May we learn this night and every night, over and over again, the peace we seek is already within us. We need nothing, nor have we anything to reject. The peace we seek has always been with us, as near to us as our next breath. Spirit of life and love, lead us from death to life, from falsehood to truth. Lead us from despair to hope, from fear to trust. Lead us from hate to love, from war to peace. Let peace fill our hearts, our world, our universe. Peace, peace, peace. Let us extinguish our chalice, not chalice, but our candles. And let us sing together our final hymn, our final carol, Joy to the World.
Collection.
Joy to the world, the word is come.
and heaven and nature sing. Joy to the earth, now gladness rings. Let hearts their songs employ, while fields and floods, rocks, hills, and plains
Repeat the sounding
repeat
joy.
the sounding joy, repeat the sounding joy, repeat the sounding joy. No more let sins and sorrows grow, nor thorns infest the crown. Let righteousness its glory show,
As far as love is
as far as love is found, as far as love is found, as far as love is found.
Sam, unmute yourself.
Oh, the fun of virtual services. Virtually tonight, beautiful music and carols opened and warmed our hearts. A moving story gladdened our hearts. A message of hope in difficult times gave us courage. Lighting candles together connected our hearts. And now we must conclude this service and part. May joy be your companion. May love be your strength. May this welcoming congregation be yours. And may love, joy, and community help you realize this truth. You are not alone. Go in peace, make peace, be at peace. And we got just one last little musical bit, our postlude, which is Jingle Bell Salsa by Randy Rosette.